lost in the Devil's Triangle, trapped in a dimension with beings from the future and from other worlds. A party of adventurers journeys through zones of time, back to their own time. Varian, a man from the 23rd century, possessing awesome powers. From 1977, Fred, a young doctor just out of medical school. Scott Jordan, the 13-year-old son of a famous scientist. Diana, daughter of an Atlantean father and an extraterrestrial mother. And Jonathan Willoway, rebel scientist from the 1960s. Together, they face the frightening unknown on The Fantastic Journey.
Well. Oh, what's this? Totally. Right. Welcome to episode 7 of It Could Have Been a Classic. Oh God, where do we start? I mean, we really trumbled the depths here. Fantastic Journey. 1977, I think. Might have been a bit before. I don't know what to make a Fantastic Journey. I actually own this. I've actually got copies of it on DVD. They only made 10 episodes, and that's including the pilot, I suppose. Yeah, and there was 11th going to be made called Romulus. There is a script online for that. I don't know what it's about. I did go looking for it today. I couldn't find it. So if anybody knows about it, let me know. I would be interested. Right, where do we start? I mean, Dorothy Fontana from Star Trek was involved in this, which was sort of interesting. They did a lot of writing and putting it together. This came out at a time when UFOs and Bermuda Triangle were a big thing, you know, the whole Bermuda Triangle thing, which apparently some guy wrote a book in the 70s, and that's where it led, a lot of the thing came out of the Bermuda Triangle, you know, with conspiracies and the rest of it. So we did get quite a lot. There was, you know, Van Daniken and all this at that time. Now, Fantastic Journey is an interesting one. You've got a great cast. I mean, you've got Jared Martin, you know, War of the Worlds the other week, and he's been around a lot of things, and he's like the leader guy. You've got Ike Eisenman that were in everything back then. You know, you've got Roddy McDowall. It's just a masterpiece. You know, Roddy McDowall, give him a, you know, a bow. King of science fiction classics. You got the delectable Katie Saylor, but she sort of had to drop out on the 8th episode, so you don't get to see her for like 1 or 2 episodes. She fell ill. There's been a lot of reports that she died, but apparently she's still alive, married, living in LA somewhere. But she never really got back into TV or film after that. And she was stunning. And she had a pet cat called Leona or something. It could go out and communicate with her telepathically. I mean, this starts... and you have the Streetwise Doctor as well. He were cool. He were like the Streetwise Doctor. He were a trainee medical student. So, like, you've got this band of adventures, but it didn't start like that. It started off where his father, Ike Eisenman's dad's a scientist, and there's her from Dallas, Ray Krebs, his wife, Donna Summit, I forgot her name. She's really quite irrelevant in this, right? So you've got her friend, like their 2 students and his son, they all go off on some scientific expedition, look at studying ocean life or whatever. And they're out there, and you've got the old sea dog, he's like took him out on a ship and his crew. And suddenly things start happening out. There's this green cloud that moves along, and bang, they've gone, and they're in the Bermuda Triangle. And they all end up ashore on this island. They all get together, and they can't believe they don't understand where they are. This island's massive, and so they end up like meeting an Arawak Indian. He don't talk. He's just Oh God. He's Jared Martin, it's various characters. He pretends to be an Indian and he sort of makes friends with them because they like they don't know where they are, you know, after shipwreck. And then some of them get kidnapped by pirates and they have to get them out. And they get out and they find a portal and they go through a time zone to where Varian is, and he reveals that he comes from the 22nd century. Now this is so Star Trek, a lot of this, you know. He actually does have that feel of some Star Trek episodes, because you know that the people that wrote and worked on the original series, they've got their hands on it. You can feel it, and that's what's sort of like, you get that feel. When Varian says come from a world with no countries, and, you know, we look after the planet and we're a much better race, you know, we're not like, you know, there's only 5 races of human beings and we're all one, and, you know, like the Gene Roddenberry vision. And he's got this tuning fork. It can be a weapon, and it can also heal. So he reveals himself, and they find out that Father, who sadly says we're in some kind of time lock, that everywhere on the island there's portals that take you to different parts. It goes on forever. It's like infinity. It's like it's different time zones. Now originally they wanted to sort of do it in the past, where they go to like people that are trapped there from the past, like from Aztecs to Egyptians and pirates and, you know, all like anybody, you know. But the execs at the TV company wanted futuristic stuff, so they altered it. And then you get, so suddenly they end up in Atlantium, that's what it's called. They're all, some of them are dressed like Nazis. They meet Katie Saylor in miniskirt and talking cat, right? And it's sort of like, this is where it sort of gets interesting. Well, Ike Eisenman, the kid's parents, they just disappear. There's no explanation. Apparently, they sent them back to 20th century. You know, his dad and the 2 women. And I'm thinking, what you mean they've just sent your dad? So you never really get any resolution. What, his own dad left his son with them, and they sent him back. So I don't think they knocked him off. Well, they've got this living red brain in a tank, and it needs life force of a kid or something, you know, highly intelligent sort of kid, and they're focused on him, you know, because he's quite intelligent, and it runs this, it's Atlantis, but they get, everybody's a slave there, like, they're all like, but there is some kind of revolution going on, and they get involved in all that, and destroy brain in Atlantis, and then the team, she comes into it, Katie Saylor, and they go through time portal, and they end up meeting Roddy McDowell's character. He's building all these androids. He's from 1960s, like a rebel scientist, and he in some respects he's like Dr. Smith. It's all about him, you know, but he comes along, he does prove himself over the series, but he's quite in, you know, it's all about me. And then you get this interesting group of travellers with the medical doctor, Varian, Malcolm McDowell, Dr. Willoway, Katie Saylor and the cat. And they end up in all these adventures in these weird sort of places, you know. And they do come up with some funky stories, you know, that are interesting. I mean, there's one episode, it reminds me of a science fiction group I used to go to, a load of them. Honestly, I don't go to this group anymore, but it was a friend, it was like a night out with some of them, you know. This is all many years ago. And it's like about creatures in the bog and all this. And it's just insane, right? So then we move on from there. And we end up in like moving around to all these like different time zones. So we get to, I think it's the final episode we get to, because they've got to find this place called Evoland. And Evoland is how you get home. It's a doorway to get you home out of this place. Because obviously it's like infinite, you know, it's like an island, but it's infinite. It's all dimensions and time zones. I mean, you've got the, there's like a psychological episode on the fairground where they're being affected by this entity and they're all there until they defeat it. But then there is screenshots. I think there's a scene from The Invaders. They use The Invaders UFO. in one episode where these prisoners from 21st century crash, and there's these aliens that are all pacifists, and they've got this egg thing that's like got all psychokinetic power that it can do stuff. And he's like going round, he's escaped with a prison transport, and Varian knows what it is. And like, you know, he tries to steal it and he kills somebody there, but this cosmic egg thing, it turns him into a child. And there's that old fellow who always in science fiction, he played President Adar in Battlestar Galactica, you know. He was always playing like a wise man in stuff. He's one at Peaceful Aliens, right? I mean, there's loads of these, like, actors that played in all that type of stuff. And yeah, it's all right. You've got the feminist episode where they meet a society where it's all dominated by females, and it's a good episode. I mean, it is a good episode, and like, but like Katie Says character sort of floats with it, and you know, she sort of goes along with it, and then she thinks there's something not right. You know, usually something about it's unfair and everybody should live equally, all that stuff. And they sort that problem out, and she joins them. And then I think they leave us somewhere by episode 8. I've only watched up to about episode 5. I can't do with it after a couple of episodes. Yeah, it really, you know, does your head in. I mean, but it is brilliant. I mean, it is good, the concept. This could have easily ran for 3 or 4 years with a resolution, because the storylines are infinite in this. So, I mean, at the start, it had a bit of a rocky start. They got rid of main cast and just changed them in like one episode. Do you know what I mean? It never, because I was like, it bothered me. Why his dad would leave his own son there? You know, so I think the Atlanteans knocked his dad off and the 2 women, you know, I really do. So I think there was a book that came out there. Now, there is a fan base for this series. There is a fan base, and when this got cancelled, Logan's Run got made. You know, Logan's Run came straight in about a year later. So a lot of the stories like are very similar to Logan's Run. You know, crossing over. And how do you say it? Like Otherworld. I don't know if you remember another one like this, like Otherworld. I mean, it's a common theme and story. There's nothing. People get trapped in a weird place through some kind of portal opening up or time block, or you know how it happens, or a storm. You know, and you end up somewhere in a place that's insane, and you've got to go through like a certain. You get out of each zone every week. And that's the premise of it. They've got to get to this place that's at the centre of this infinite time look on this island, because it's like, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if Lost came from this, to be honest, you know what I mean? But it's the concept is great, because I've got a thing for 1970s science fiction. I call it the special effects disco effects, because it's all like disco lights and all that, you know, what they had back then. And sonic instrument made them cheesy noises. But yeah, it's not too bad. It's enjoyable for what I meant by what it's done. It's because I've seen it quite a few times, and you know, when I watch it, it's quite easy to get through. But I've always got a memory of this. I saw this at I saw it used to be on BBC, and it started. But the dodgy beginning, there's a few questions in that needs sorting out in this, I don't think, because they got pressure from upstairs they wanted a more sexy looking, more interesting cast. So out went the dad and the 2 women, and they put in Roddy McDowall, I mean, you know, big name, the medical guy, Varian, and Ike Eiserman. I mean, Ike Eiserman, I've said before, he was in fucking everything back then. So, I mean, you know, and the telepathic cat. I mean, some in this works. Right, and it's a great picture when the old cast are there together, and that voice, well, you know, about, I mean, in the Fantastic Journey, that voice that opens it up, you know, scientist from the 60s, rebel, you know, son of a genius, Kaiser, you know, and Varian, the man from the 23rd century, you know, dresses up as an Arawak Indian, just, you know, it's completely ridiculous with a pointless spaceship that can make orange juice. But there is some quite good stories in here, especially the one set on the fairground is quite psychological, because Logan's Run did something similar to that, so did Otherworld. So I think that for these other series, these are the same scripts being bandied around and being altered. So Fantastic Journey was sort of the first type of this, and with the cast of Roddy McDowall and the super sassiness of Katie Saylor, and of course Jared Martin and Ike Eisenman. I don't know, I think he's the director now or something, but he was just in everything back then as that all that American kid, you know, which you grow up on all this, you know. I was about 8 when this were out, so it's got, and the music, especially the music, very fast and upbeat, and it's going, you know, it's of the time, you know, and the crossover into the world of cheesy special effects and cheesy noises, and it's all science fiction. I mean, science fiction back then, they had this weird vision, spandex and disco lights. Look at Buck Rogers, you know, and that Buck Rogers is at the higher end of this. But yeah, again, they did spend the money on this, and some of the effects are not bad, but there's a lot of stock footage that's been ripped off as well. But this is how it was. But you know that you get a feeling of that Star Trekkiness of the original, so because obviously some of the writers went over, you know, to this, like Dorothy Fontana and that, you know, which is sort of interesting, put this together. But Fantastic Journey got cancelled by 10th episode because it just won't get it ratings. It were up against Welcome Back Kotter and the Waltons. You're going to get panned, aren't you, if you're up against stuff like that. They've done it in this country where they put out something that's really good, and it's gone out against something like a soap opera, and it's going to get murdered. You know, it's not fair, it's not right. You know, they should be put on a certain time. Now, we only got it on BBC, yeah, and then I think it were on Bravo. It got bandied around over years. I think Sci-Fi Channel showed it, but it's not been on much. Now, there's no DVDs out there. Now, I went to a comic thing and picked up some recorded, I think they were from somebody had put them onto disc, and I paid a couple of quid for them. But it was nice to have all 10 episodes, and there is some classic stories in there. Now what's going to make this a classic, right, for me? Could a Fantastic Journey, where could it have gone? Now, I think you could have milked 3 to 4 seasons out of this. I don't know, even at 22 episodes a season back then, I think today you could do something similar, and it'd be 12 episodes per season with a storyline, but we're going back then. I think it could have done 3 to 4 seasons if it had been shown at a time. I think over time it would have got a following, but the writing, the stories, every week they're in a situation where, and possibly with some kind of story arc. Well, there is the story about getting to Evo Land, you know what I mean? So you put something in like that where they're trying to get there, but it got panned, you know, and it never really took off in this country. I used to love it as a kid, but it were on after the top at Pops, I think. But I mean, they had other stuff like soap operas and that, and it got panned here. But they did spend the money on it. It's not cheap. It's nicely done. The sets, you know, it's really good program. You know, the computer banks, you're saying Battlestar Galactica in 70s and Lost in Space and Time Tunnel. You say all the same similar sets are all mixed up, which were used in other programs. You recognise some at props. Now, I'm going to say it now. With Roddy, what backs it for me is Dorothy Fontana, Roddy McDowall, and Jared Martin. That's just the 3 factors, and the story writing. Plus, it came from like a Star Trek sort of thing. I know it's got nothing to do with Star Trek, but it comes from that sort of feel, you know. And Logan's Run came straight out after this, and a few years after that, Otherworld. You're gonna love bloody Otherworld, right? But it's the premise is nothing new, but it's the casting and the actors. You get a feeling, you get a feel for them, and you do like them. I like the thing with the telepathic cat, and I think that's great, and the cat's cute, and you know, there's certain things that work in this. It's not cheap. Back at the time, this will have been quite, you know, expensive to make. For me, where this could have gone, it had potential. From the journey of disappearing into the time lock, it would have been nice to explain what happened to his parents, it really would. But to get to Evoland, apparently the island was called Evoland, but to actually find the portal, the place that will send you home back to your own times, would have been interesting. I think you could have milked up to 2 to 3 seasons, possibly. It'll have been cancelled somewhere within the 4th season, but we're 1977. Now I think if you brought this back today, obviously there'd be darker undertones to it. I think it could work. So I'm gonna give it our. I think this is already there. Fantastic Journey could have been a classic. It really do. It really does. You know, it could have been a classic. Let me know your thoughts. It's on YouTube to watch, guys. You know, if you want a cheesy night in, get down and just have a cup of tea or a can of beer, bang that on, or a spliff. I don't, but I mean, you know, whatever you're into, sit down, cup of tea, bang that on, and I'll tell you something, you won't turn it off. You think, oh, this is sort of interesting, isn't it? Bloody hell, it's like, you know, it's all spandex in with some people running about, and, you know, it's disco lights and props you recognise from other science fiction things at the time. And hey, there's a great cat, Joan Collins, Ian McShane. I mean, there's some certain stars that appear in this, you know. Bloody Lovejoy's in first episode. That must have been when he was trying to crack America, Ian McShane, you know what I mean? And Joan Collins, she was trying to get a career on track. She's in one episode. So it's all in there. It could have been a classic. So I'll see you on episode 8. I'm on at 7 o'clock tonight, guys. And you're not going to believe what I'm going to do next week for episode 8. So you know the rules of Could Have Been a Classic. It's a 12-part trilogy of scouring the internet for the worst things out there, but there was that glimmer of hope where it could have been a classic. Just that one glimmer, it could have changed everything. Basically, it's a what if, isn't it, really? Alright guys, see you soon, speak soon, bye.